Hello, I'm Elon Rubach.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lauren Lesko.
We're both at the Center for Shared Prosperity at Carnegie Mellon. And we are here because we want to describe the first of many tutorial videos we're going to be making. And on this one, we're going to try and describe the paperwork you're going to fill out when you're going to get an honorarium from us. So first, let's talk a little bit about why you'd get an honorarium. We believe that community engagement means always treating people in the community fairly and justly. And part of that is making sure you're honored for your time when you put effort in, just like we all get a salary here at the university to work with you. So we came up with this idea that every time you work on a committee in a repeated way, we're going to make sure that you get an honorarium that rewards you financially for the work that you're doing with us. An honorarium is typically a one-shot payment. So it's not like you're not getting hired by the university. You're not getting a sequence of payments, but instead you're getting a lump sum to thank you for some service that you're providing. Anything else to say about honorariums, what they mean?
I don't think so. That covers it. Yeah.
So the first thing that happens is you might get a letter from us inviting you to be on, let's say, a launch committee or a planning committee as part of the Center for Shared Prosperity. And that's going to say, we'd like you to serve on this thing. It's, let's say, 5 hours of work or 10 hours of work. And it might say, we'd like to thank you for your time by giving you a $100 honorarium if you can receive it. Now, some of you out there won't be able to receive it. You'll say, you know what? I work at this foundation. I work at the Heinz Endowments. I can't accept honoraria, or I'm a government employee. I can't accept honoraria. That's fine. But if you say, yes, I can accept honoraria, then Lauren is going to send you some paperwork to fill out. Do you want to describe how many things you're going to send them and kind of the process?
Yeah, of course. So you'll get 3 forms from me, which we'll review in a second. You'll get 2 kind of government forms, a W-9 and a 1099. And then you'll get 1 form from CMU where we'll ask you for your address, your banking information, if you'd like to provide it, and a few questions at the end. So that's kind of a summary of what you'll get from me to get that process started.
Now, the weird thing about all this is, in the olden days, if we were sending you forms, we'd give them to you or we'd print them out and mail them to you and you'd fill them out and mail them back. But we're in the electronic age now, and it's gotten a little bit complicated. So Lauren would likely be emailing you the forms. So you'd receive forms that are in a version of the internet, a digital age called PDF. And depending on what software you have on your computer, you're going to be able to see them differently. So some of you will find you can fill out some of these forms electronically on the computer screen, at least part of them. Some of you will find it's easier to print the thing out, whether using your own printer or going to something like a FedEx Kinko's and printing it out. And then, for instance, filling it out with a pen and taking a picture with your cell phone and emailing us back the picture of the form that you've taken with your cell phone.
Yeah.
So should we open up the forms?
Go for it.
All right, so here we go. We are going to share screen and see if this works. Okay, hopefully you now see the W-9 form. I'll be the mouse guide if you want to describe to them the parts they're filling out.
Sounds good. So at the top, in line 1, you're going to give your name. We can't give honorariums to companies. It has to be individuals. So you can ignore that second line where it asks for your business name. We don't need that. In section 3, you will check off the individual box. And then moving down for line 5 and 6, you'll give us your address. Line 7, you can skip that. We don't need anything in there. And then in part 1, you will give us your social security number in those boxes.
And you can ignore this whole requester's name and address section and all of the things where it says exemptions, section 4.
Right. And then finally, towards the bottom of the page in part 2, you will sign, date, and that's it for the W-9.
Some of you might have software that allows you to sign this thing using a little cursive signature online. Some of you won't, and you need to print it out and just do it by pen like we talked about. And up above, if you need to fill this out on paper, just use block letters. So instead of using cursive here in box 1 and the address, box 5, for instance, just print in capital block letters, and that works just fine for the IRS. That's one of 3 forms.
Mm-hmm.
I wish it was all that easy. This was not too bad. Go ahead.
So this is a 1099 form. This essentially tells CMU and the state your tax status. So that will determine if CMU needs to withhold taxes from our payment to you or not. So you can see the first top of the form is filled out with CMU's information. So you can leave this alone, that stays as is. The second section under payee information, you'll again give us your name in the first box. Again, your social security number. Under that, you'll give us your full address. And then the middle section, you'll provide us with your exemption reason. So for most of you, you're going to check off this first box where it says individual PA resident. You can see other options, trust, estate. If you feel like any of these might apply to you, you can reach out to me and ask. But I think, again, most of you are going to be checking off the individual box.
Yeah, it's almost certain that you're going to click that. This whole exemption thing is a little confusing. In a way, I think what's going on, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm salaried at CMU. So Carnegie Mellon, if they're going to pay me $10, they keep $3 as withholding. So I only get $7. In the case of Honoraria, when you fill out this form, Carnegie Mellon, if they're going to pay you $10, they give you all $10. And they assume that you're going to be able to take care of dealing with taxes at the end of the year.
Right.
One very tricky thing at the bottom of this. Here, you're going to write or print your name again. And it says title, but that just means Mr., Mrs., Doctor, that. And your telephone number and date. But then in payee signature, check this out. It's in bright red. It says, please sign after printing. You would think if you print this out, it's going to say that on the printed form, but they've done some kind of magic here where that red text does not show up when you print it. So you can fill everything else out electronically if you can, or after you print it. But then when you print it, where it says signature down here, this will be empty, in fact. And you're going to go ahead and fill it in with your signature and then take a picture and send it to us.
Yep.
All right, 2 out of 3.
Almost there.
Almost there. This is the last form. This is a form between Carnegie Mellon and you. So if you want to walk through it, I will point.
Yeah. So again, at the top, we're going to ask you for your name and your address again. The next few lines will be filled out already when the form gets to you. So we will indicate if you are a new or existing supplier in our payment system. We'll put your name in there, the reason why we're paying you this honorarium, and the date and the amount. I'll also provide my name and my email address in this section. The next section, if you would like to receive your payment electronically, you can provide your banking information here. So it asks for the bank's name, its address, your email address, and then in the domestic only line, we're asking for the routing and your bank account number.
And just to be clear, this email remittance to, what remittance means is just they're going to notify you when they pay you by emailing whatever email address you put here. They're not actually sending you the remittance, the money by email. That's not what they mean.
If you would like to receive your payment by check, not electronically, you can leave this part blank and a check will be mailed to you at the address at the top. Moving down, the form will ask you if you are a non-resident alien of the US or if you are a CMU employee, so you can answer those questions.
A resident, so if you're a citizen, if you were born here, or if you have a US passport, you're a citizen of the US, so the answer would be no. If you were not born here, so you're an alien, but you have a green card or a visa, then the answer is still no. So non-resident alien means you're not born here, you don't have a passport, and you don't reside here. So it's almost impossible for the answer to be yes here if you're sitting in Pittsburgh and living here and working with us.
We also ask for your employer name. If you're not currently employed, you can leave that blank. After that section, there's 2 questions related to if your employer is a foreign government, if your family member is an official of a foreign government, if you anticipate interacting with any foreign officials on behalf of CMU, these questions need to be answered, yes or no. And then finally, we're just asking for your signature and date at the bottom.
And again, the signature here depends on the kind of computer software you have. You might be able to sign it electronically, or you might need to print it out and then sign it. And you're just signing it here where it says signature. Down here where it says signature, it's only for the university offices to sign. I'll explain up here, these foreign agent questions that are being asked. This is all rules that were put in place after 9/11, having to do with anti-terrorism and export control and foreign intervention in America. So if you answer yes to those, I think there's probably follow-on paperwork that says, oh yeah, what does that mean? And does it affect the work you're doing with us? But just talk to us if that's the case, and we'll walk it through somehow. And then, Lauren, should they send this form to accounts payable or to you?
Once these forms are done, you should send them to me. I'll review, make sure everything looks good, and then we'll send it to our accounts payable department.
Okay. So ignore this instruction here, send it to Lauren. And up here, it says CMU is issuing all payments via electronic funds transfer. Not true. We still have the capability to cut a check if that's better for you. Of course, if you get a check, remember, if you're doing check cashing at some local agency, they might take a cut. So it may be in your best interest to have an account number if you can, so that you can get every last dime in your own name rather than sending it to a check cashing agency. Well, hopefully this was useful. Any questions that you have, just reach out to Lauren and me, and we'll be happy to answer them. And this concludes our very first tutorial ever.
Thanks, everyone.